Cool. All right. It is 7 p.m. We will call the meeting to order. Welcome to the January edition of the Columbia Board of Education meeting. I'd like to start off with calling roll, please. Kimberly?
Adam Humpkin.
Here.
Tammy Hines.
Here.
Andrea Corey.
Here.
Craig Meyer.
Here.
Scott Middlecamp.
Here.
Lisa Schumacher.
Here.
Tyson Surge.
Here.
Perfect. We have a quorum, so thank you all for attending. If you'd all stay with me and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, welcome to our visitors that join us. We've got a faithful crowd comes every time. Appreciate you guys participating. Welcome to everybody and at home watching our YouTube channel. Do we have any public comments this evening? No public comments. All right, perfect. Correspondence, I think, is going around. Or no correspondence? Okay, that's easy enough. Get right down to business. We'll start with our consent agenda. Mr. Grody, if you'd walk us through that, please.
We've got the minutes and the financial reports and the expenditures. We had a resignation. Our agricultural science person, who you might remember took a leave of absence for her maternity. Well, she's going to work in the private sector and stay at home with the newborn child. So we wish her well, but she is leaving us, and so that's our one resignation. We've got some employments. Timothy Gould is going to be our high school English. That's for this year. We will be posting that position. We're expecting him to apply, but he's going to finish out this year for the English teacher that we had resigned last month. We've got two extracurriculars. Kelly Landgraf is coming back to the volleyball position, and Chelsea Pena is the volunteer softball coach. And then we've got vacancies. As I said, we've got the ag science teacher, we've got the high school assistant principal, high school, middle school business teacher, that's a retirement, high school English, that's the position that we've got that gentleman working for this year in. Middle school special ed, that's going to be an expansion, and then a halftime music teacher. The halftime music teacher is really going to be for Eagle View and Parkview. Right now we double up classes, and the preschoolers don't even get music. So we're looking at see if we can get a halftime. We don't really need a full-time, but trying to take our staff and make it work, it doesn't work either. So we're going to be looking for that halftime teacher. Those things said, administration recommends the board approve it as presented.
Any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions? Then I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Andrea. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Lisa seconds. Roll call, please.
Adam Humpkin.
Yes.
Tammy Hines.
Yes.
Andrea Corey.
Yes.
Craig Meyer.
Yes.
Scott Middlecamp.
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher.
Yes.
Tyson Surge.
Perfect. Carries unanimously. We'll move right on to our communications and reports. The enrollment report is in your packets. And we'll go on to our administrative reports.
Hi
Looks
again.
like the-
Hi. So we have had an exciting end of second quarter for our first semester. I wanted to include some awesome pictures again. The first two on the left, top and bottom, are of Miss Haven's science class. They were learning about food chains and food webs, and they connected it to the game of Jenga, and after the game the students connected the balancing of bricks to the balancing of organisms in the ecosystem. So it's always hands-on in there, and she always does an amazing job, and the kids love being scientists in her science class. The second two are also in the 6th grade science wing, and they were learning about how glaciers shaped Illinois through topography, and they at the top they connected the continents through Pangea and the different types of rock formations and mountain formations. On the bottom they used their imagination to put together how Illinois was shaped because of those glaciers with Play-Doh. So really cool to see them doing hands-on learning and explaining it to me as I walked around to see what was going on. The top picture is kind of hard, but that's in Miss Rep's class. They were using shaving cream to practice their spelling words, so they loved that, and I loved that the desk got clean, you know, as well. And the bottom is our boys enjoying biotech class and dissecting a baby pig. But they were able to explain to me the purpose and how they do that, and Mr. Birch always has them also engaged and excited to head to his class. So lots of exciting things, and this is just a glimpse of, if you go into any classroom, all of the excellent ways my teachers incorporate the kids into learning. So very proud of all those pictures. I have 3 slides, so we'll continue on. The next one is of our 8th graders. They started having pals back at Parkview and Eagleview, and they were really excited on our half days to go over there. So at Parkview, they interviewed 3rd graders, and they call them their 3rd grade buddies. And during 3rd and 4th quarters, the 8th graders will write and illustrate an original children's book for every 3rd grader, so they'll get to keep it. And then they also went over to Eagleview, where they read stories and books to the kindergarten and 1st graders about kindness. So it was an awesome day, and they all really loved doing that, I think. And lastly is just our fun way to end 2nd semester. We all got new CMS shirts thanks to Two Blue, and we had dress-up days. The whole district had dress-up days. The students at the top left and right. The left one was dressed like a snowman. The right one's your favorite Christmas characters. Can anyone guess what those two? From Home Alone, the Wet Bandits, and then of course there's Buddy the Elf and Jovi. We made Mr. Elliott and I made appearance over at Eagleview, and they really thought that we came, you know, and from the North Pole, and they were all super excited. So it was a fun time. So lots of great things happening all of the time. And speaking of great things, Miss Alexander was going to tell you about our February and 5th grade.
Yes. So we have a date set for the 5th grade stargazing night. I had to save this. Oh, hold on. So it is going to be Friday, March 24th. And the River Bend Astronomy Club coordinator last year made a comment that it was such a great turnout last time, and the kids were so interested and well behaved, and they made a great impression on the members of the club. So that was nice to hear, and I know that the 5th graders and their families really look forward to that stargazing night. So Friday, March 24th. Also, there's a Kindness Day coming up in February. So the Student Council actually celebrates Kindness Week, and they've kind of challenged each grade level to come up with some kind of act of kindness or a way to maybe give back to the community. So each grade level has a service project that they're planning for that week. In 5th grade, we are going to be working on care packages and pen pal letters to soldiers that are deployed with a focus on the Navy. We have a student teacher in 5th grade right now who was formerly in the Navy, so he has a connection, and we're kind of teaming up with him, and he's getting us some soldiers and military people to send packages and letters to. In 6th grade, they're going to be donating to the House of Neighborly Service. 7th grade, the Bria Nursing Home, they're going to donate items and make cards. And 8th grade is working with Helping Strays to walk dogs and donate items. So those are our plans to do our service projects in February.
A lot going on.
Very like going on. Awesome. Thank you very much.
And we'd like to thank the PTA for supporting the stargazing night
Yeah,
there.
All right, on to our Assistant Superintendent report.
Sure. So I'm going to start with some shout outs. So I'm going to start at the high school with our special ed department.
So Chelsea Adair, Mark Hasser, John Guinea, and Derek Rosicki. So they send out a weekly accommodation check-in, and it's just one of those great ways to see how the technology ideas that they used during COVID are actually helping and simplifying things for the school. So they send this out to all the teachers. The teachers can quickly fill out things going on not only with their students that are in the gen ed classes, but also if there's a test coming up or there's a big project or they're concerned about one of their students, the teachers can quickly fill out these Google forms and get it back, and those teachers can then have pretty quick things. We know that everybody's time is very limited, so finding time to meet together to talk about these is difficult, so they are using this. The picture on the far right is Sarah Klein and Rosemary Langang from the middle school. And so obviously they work with students a lot, kind of when they're in crisis or they need something. But what I'm really excited about with those two is that they are taking very much of a proactive approach to things instead of a reactive approach. So instead of waiting for kids to have issues, they are coming and saying, in the past we've seen a lot of problems with whatever a situation might be, and they are wanting to try things and implement things ahead of time to prevent those problems. So, it makes things go smoother. It makes those kids more successful that have those moments of struggling. And like I said, it's just nice to be able to play offense instead of defense all the time. So the picture in the bottom middle is a picture of our coffee crew from here at Parkview. So I want to give a shout out to Caitlin Lish and Amy Vollmer, who their class is the coffee crew, so they come around and take coffee orders. I'm very thankful I'm not a coffee drinker, but they added hot chocolate to the list, so I was very happy for that one. But they also are finding other ways to contribute to the building, and so they are now also our mail delivery here within Parkview. So they come up every day and bring Kim the mail and take the mail back down to Miss Robin in the office, and they are starting tomorrow working in the cafeteria, helping out doing some things. So they are very excited, and it's just the brainchild of those two teachers exploring and thinking outside of the box of getting their classes involved. And then the last picture there on the left is Tish Linneman. She's one of our custodians over at Eagle View. She is usually our evening custodian at Eagle View, and our day custodian had to go out, and so she has stepped up, changed her schedule. And it's kind of hard once you get used to a set work schedule, and she's now the morning custodian. She comes in, but she is phenomenal. Not only is she, like I said, changed around her schedule, but she's always helping. Ketchup packets and syrup packets are much to the chagrin of the adults at Eagle View, but the kids love them, and so she doesn't hesitate to jump in and help the kids with that. She's not just there doing those typical custodial duties. So just wanted to give all of them a shout out. Wanted to just kind of touch base a little bit about some of our growth data. So this is looking at our MAP test that I brought. So we do these benchmarks 3 times a year, and this is tied to our school improvement goals at Parkview and at the middle school. So this just kind of compares, it goes in sets of 2, but the fall benchmark to the winter benchmark. And so you can see, obviously we're wanting that blue and green section to grow. Some of our scores, didn't grow as much as we would have liked to see from beginning of the year to middle of the year, but one, that is typical. Historical data, not only in our district, but kind of all over, will tell you that the winter benchmarking is a little bit harder, partially because you spend first semester when you first come back, right, getting new routines in place, reviewing things that might have happened over the summer, finding out where those deficits or those holes all are and working on those skills. And then we also take this testing in December, which is not the greatest time of the year when you're trying to get kids to focus. When what we're really excited about is there a snow day coming up? When's Christmas break? How many more days till that? So it's a little difficult. So like I said, there are definitely some positives from here. So this was the math scores, reading. We're kind of seeing the same thing. Like I said, a couple of grade levels we've shown some greater growth. A couple things dipped just a little bit. But I am just looking at this data and kind of comparing it to where we were last year. I am confident that when we take those scores in May and we compare beginning and end of year scores, that our teachers will have gotten the growth out of our students to help us meet those school improvement goals in the buildings. So I'm excited about that. And then just a couple other things. We have a lot of PD going on and coming up in the district. from all different avenues. We're looking at we have some teachers going to some positive psychology training to kind of help, how do you focus on the positive. We have some academic things. We're sending out some teachers to help look at improving like the extended responses in areas of our state standardized testing that we have now identified as some areas of weakness. So really excited about that. Next Friday on our half day, we're running our own mini ed camp. So we're taking the expertise of the teachers in our district because we have a lot of expertise in the buildings. And the teachers will go through rotations. They'll be able to pick areas that they want to focus on and learn from their peers. So I'm very excited to see that and how it goes. And then the only other thing I kind of wanted to share with you was that at the high school there's some changes as far as with weighted classes. So a long time ago, there was a switch from taking out weighted classes for freshmen, because what they were finding was happening was students were being pushed into honors weighted classes. Students, that wasn't the correct placement for them for whatever reason, or they were struggling. Well, when you struggle with a weighted class and your grade shows it, it kind of tanks your GPA pretty quickly and it's hard to rebuild from that. So they eliminated those weighted grades at those classes. Parents and students are now much more involved, so the teachers still make those recommendations, but parents and students have a lot more say in evaluating if that's a good placement for them. And so we feel like those students should be rewarded for being challenged and putting in that extra work. So starting next year, Honors Biology, Honors English 1, and Honors Spanish 2 will be weighted classes that our freshmen can take advantage of. So that's what I have.
To the superintendent.
Well, it's that time of year where we start looking to graduation, believe it or not. We've been going through a brief history looking at what we've done in the past, and graduations have fluctuated. With all of school scheduling, it's never able to find a perfect time. From athletic competitions and postseasons to Mother's Day weekend, Memorial Day weekend, it's just hard to find the best time. We do know outside is definitely preferred. We've sat through mild rain, and stayed outside. That is a good thing. Without a stage inside in the gym, rain days are then the next day, putting it to a Sunday. We used to have graduations on Sunday, and it got moved to Saturday to make the rain day because we could have it then the next day. If you have a stage inside, you can do it on the same day and do it during downpours because you're inside. It can be the same day. Air conditioning is better currently. Projections in the commons area so people can see the graduations are better. We're looking at all of this. The point is being is that we will be bringing to you a graduation date next month, and our goal is really to be able to say we do a graduation on the 3rd whatever on this date at this time, and try and find that date that will not in the future have issues, so that people can start saying, okay, graduation for next year is always going to be on the 4th. I'm going to say Tuesday because we'll never have one on Tuesday. And I don't want people saying, he said it. But we're going to bring that to you next month. And so if you've got any thoughts or concerns, or if any of your neighbors with graduating people put in their 2 cents to you all, please make sure that Mr. Reeves and I hear the input, because we do want to find the best that we can. We'll also be bringing forward a calendar for next year. I believe Ms. Smith shared it with the association today, or will be sharing it with them today. Spoiler alert. The point being that if you hear some of this, we always think to the future, but we live in the now. We're talking about next year. We're posting for next year's, but we're living in the now. I kid you not. I was alerted today that there is a storm coming in next week, and Wednesday, get your bread and milk early, because people have been asking me if Wednesday next week's going to be a snow day. I don't know. Anyway, you live in the moments. We're going to bring a calendar for next year. But we are focused on this year. That brings me to the 5 essential survey. Those will be coming out soon. we want everybody to take it. All of the faculty and staff will take it, and they'll report what they feel about their buildings. It gives us a cultural thing. All students from 4th grade up will take it. And then we're going to be strongly encouraging parents to take it. It gives us a look at what people think about us in broad ways, and we want to look at that data and be able to craft the culture that we can to make this the place we want it to be. Those are my 3 things that we've got going on, and thank you.
Thank you. All right. So we have a couple items for action. The first one is the approval of the Cobalt as our representative in the construction projects.
Yeah, we have, I want to thank Mr. Hemken and Mr. Myers for sitting in these committee meetings and going through this. We went out to bid for construction managers as advisors or owners' representations. We were looking for someone that can, with a flat fee, represent our interests and has the expertise in the constructions as we look at big projects. We've got Kimberly Pollock, did I say that right? In the audience, she's a member of Cobalt. I'm going to let Mr. Hemken and Mr. Myers kind of talk about the company and whatnot, but administration recommends that you approve the engagement of Cobalt pending legal review of the contracts and some details that need to be worked out. But we would like to engage them at a flat fee for the looking at the facilities. Mr. Hemken, Mr. Myers?
Take it, Adam, or?
Go ahead. It's been a long day.
All right, so basically, as we know, we're having the high school project that's coming up, and which is a very massive project. And fortunately, Adam and I both have construction experience, so we have a pretty good handle on things. However, neither one of us has the time to really oversee it for the district. And what we're worried about is we don't want to pay a percentage, because to me it's counterproductive. If you say, I'm going to pay you X percentage of the project, there's no incentive for them to hold the line. The more they bill, the more they make, and so, like I said, I feel it's counterproductive. So we were very excited to interview Cobalt. We interviewed 4 companies. We received bids from 4 bids from companies. So we had a lot of interest in the project. We weighed everything very heavily and interviewed. Cobalt seemed to be our best choice, and we appreciate all their information and meeting with us, and they jumped through all the hoops, and we had a lot of hoops, but with a project this size, we don't want to take any chances. We want to make sure everything is there. So the idea behind an owner's rep is they're our eyes and ears, so they're going to help us with the design. They have a lot of heavy construction experience, so they know the process from start to finish. So they're going to be involved in the design and the implementation, the build, everything. So they're kind of our eyes and ears. And so basically, we're going to control the creep, and so we don't want the thing to go 10% over budget. We want it on budget. And so with being proactive, it's funny, we met with the attorney for Mundorf and Gwynn, and the attorney he specializes in these type of contracts, and he was just very excited. You know, it's funny because you have an attorney that does all these school districts and all this thing, and that's very mundane, and to hear him really excited about something, he's like, this is the wave of the future. And he was really happy with what we're doing, and actually being more proactive and controlling our costs up front instead of after it's too late and dealing with it. So what'd I miss?
I don't think I have anything to add, actually.
Perfect.
Ms. Pollock is here to answer any questions, should anyone have any. They've got extensive experience in the fields.
And let me say for the record, she survived Adam's questions, so he was extremely thorough, and yeah, I was glad I wasn't heard in that time. That very worst. Comments, suggestions, questions? Again, the 3 of us in the committee feel this is definitely our best way to go, and I think it's going to definitely control costs, and it is an added expense that some people look at off the board, off the bat, but I'm very confident it's going to more than pay for itself. So, what do you feel, Em?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's the whole concept behind it is just the the advisory service, the expertise that they'll bring to the table to help us make good decisions up front, put a good requirement out for any construction, help us decide which construction is absolutely necessary, what we can do in phases, what we can't. All those things that cost you money if you don't know up front, and you leave to assumptions or to open bidding. So the better we can define our requirement, figure out exactly what this build is going to look like, the better we can do our price estimates, the better the project's going to run overall. And that's where we don't have the time, the resources to oversee it the way it needs to be ran effectively on schedule, on budget. So that's where, Cobalt will be able to help us significantly to make sure this runs smoothly. So yeah, that's the whole concept behind it. It does cost money up front, but experience shows it saves money in the end. So,
What is the cost?
well, that's still, I think some of it's being negotiated still. So I think that's what we're putting on the table, is that all the final terms and conditions are going to be, they're not, the negotiations aren't finalized. So I think what we're asking is for Mr. Grody to be able to enter into that. We're basically delegating to him to enter that once the paperwork's final, and we have agreeable terms at the end. Is that correct, Chris?
That is correct.
Right.
And just to be clear, this is a professional service, so.
You don't need to be with the lowest.
Right, it's not something that's spec'd and bid, and, I mean, yes, we gathered that information, correct, but, and we interviewed 4 different folks, or you said.
We have interest.
Four responses to that, but it's choosing the best fit for the district. It's not, looking at lowest and best bid. It's really choosing who we feel are going to represent us the best.
Yeah. There's a lot of factors involved in that too. What kind of works have they done before?
Right.
Miss Pollock lives in the community. Her kids go to the schools here, and so she's got vested interest in making sure that things go the way it's supposed to be. And so there's just a lot of dynamics, but ultimately, the administration would recommend that we engage Cobalt to provide these services, pending the legal reviews and the negotiations.
And really, to answer your question, it's the total fee, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we're around the 2% of the entire project area.
Yeah, we don't do a percent of construction or project costs. That was one of the things that we learned from, previous projects, that there's not an incentive for us to do more. We do a flat fee for design phase and then a flat fee for construction phase, just because typically that there's more, time involved with the construction side of it. However, we can, it all equals, I think when we looked at the project and did a whole manpower out, it was less than 2% when you look at your project budget compared to what our full fee would be.
I think it's important that it's not based on a percentage. When you look at a project like that, insurance is going to be a percentage, labor is going to be a percentage, materials, consulting. So we kind of put it in that mind frame, so you guys have an idea what kind of dollars we're talking about. So.
And then just curious, historically, how much does on average does a school district go over on a project like this versus with you guys?
My personal experience with education projects, we haven't gone over budget. But actually it went reverse. We were able to help get more into a project, and that's been the case multiple times. So I want to say 100% of not over, that you can hold me to for this time too, but I don't have that historical for general.
I'd say from my experiences talking to other superintendents, change orders and going over budget is usually around maybe a quarter percent. So, depending on the scope of your work and whatnot, I've had a project with a 100-year-old building that was almost 50% of change orders.
When you say a quarter, you mean 25%?
Of the total cost, 25%, yeah.
Right, not a quarter of
Not
a
a quarter,
percent.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
To clarify, make sure.
But it's when you're remodeling an old building, you don't, until you get into there, you don't know what you're dealing with, electrical or whatnot. So you sometimes get in there and you find out that it was wired with stuff that now it all needs to be torn out, or, so there's a lot of various areas. And there's other solutions that you can work around to try and make sure that the,
And we've had a lot of conversations as well. We're still post-COVID, so we're still supply chain shortages and that sort of thing where, we had a long conversation in, what do you do? If this isn't available, we get to figure something else out. We just don't let the project sit or overrun. You figure out another solution, another supplier, another method, something. And that's where they really shine is to keep things moving along. So that's going to be a big part of it. And these are different times to build in. Believe me, I just got done with the project, so I can tell you definitely different times. But I think we welcome their expertise. At least I would. But any other questions? Would anybody like to make a motion to approve Cobalt as our owner's rep in the construction project pending legal review and authorizing Mr. Grody to enter into a contract should everything be copacetic?
yes.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Adam.
I'll second.
10 seconds, all right, perfect. Roll call, please.
Tammy Hines.
Yes.
Andrea Corey.
Yes.
Craig Meyer.
Yes.
Scott Middlecamp.
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher.
Yes.
Tyson Search.
Yes.
Adam Hennigan.
Yes.
Perfect, unanimous, thank you very much. And welcome aboard. Okay, big things coming, so we're excited as well. All right, last item for action is the approval of the second reading and adoption of the board policies for the press issue 110.
There were no questions, comments, or concerns brought to me. I don't believe that any were brought to Mr. Hemkin or Mr. Middlecamp.
No.
The recommendation is to approve them as presented. Most of them are changes due to legal references and whatnot. There was one question in there regarding whether or not we require unvaccinated people to get tested. The answer is no. And so that will be duly reflected in the policies there. But recommendation is to approve them as presented.
Any questions, discussions, comments? Anybody like?
I'll just second what Mr. Grody said. Reading through, they were, this was a large list of administrative updates. The last round, there were a few items to just consider that were unique based on district and such, but these were very much administrative. So I didn't receive any comments or inquiries either, but just that was my read.
Perfect. Anyone else? Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the second reading of the press pass policy 110?
I'll make motion.
Thank you, Tammy. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Lisa seconds. She beat you out, Tyson. You gotta be
Sorry,
quicker
Tyson.
next time. There's no money on the table, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Yes on that. Our discussion items, our facility study, we kind of touched on that a little bit here,
I
so.
will just add, I want to thank Ms. Schumacher and Ms. Hines for walking all the buildings with me. My feet were tired at the end of the day. I don't know if I've walked or put that many steps in for a while, but we took a tour of all the buildings, checked doors, talked to administration at the buildings, looked at that from a safety and security point of view. I'm bringing it up in the facility study because we did look at, like, Eagle View is packed. We've got facility concerns there. The middle school's got plenty of room, but it's the newest of the buildings. The high school's also full. Parkview is, maybe I think there was one room that's still able to be built into, and so it's just, as we look forward to the facility study and we start looking at our safety and security concerns and whatnot, it was just, we ended up having a couple of conversations about our facilities and where our students are and staffing. And so I just want to thank them for that day, and it was some good discussions, so.
Very good.
Anything else for facility?
Not that I have. All right. Individual board member comments. Do we have anything for the good of the order? No. President's prerogative. I was just going to echo my appreciation for Lisa and Tammy for taking an entire day to go through that. It's nice to be in the buildings and actually see things firsthand, and gives us a very unique perspective. So thank you both for doing that. And thank you for using your feet.
I closed that circle definitely. A little watch.
Sounds good. All right. I think we do have an
We
executive
do have
session.
no action items after.
Okay. So basically, we do have items to discuss in the executive session. However, Mr. Grody just said, we don't have any action items as a result. So unfortunately, you guys can't stay for the executive session, but you're welcome to come back and see us adjourn if you so desire. So with that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Here, roll call on this.
Yep.
All right, roll call, please. Thank you. I'm gonna get this one of these days.
Yes.
Greg Meyer.
Yes.
Scott Middleton.
Yes.
Lisa Schumacher.
Yes.
Tyson Search.
Yes.
Adam Hempkin.
Yes.
Katie Heck.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, well, thank you. Ready? All right, welcome back, everyone. We just conclude our executive session. There's no action items as a result. And with that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Tyson made a motion, Adam second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?